Should be live, people. What's going on? Monday, December 10th, live before lock. Myself, Fast Eddie Fear. We have got quite the slate on our hands tonight. Got to get two plugs out of the way first. First and foremost, 24 days of giving from Awesemo.com. It's a good one. We're just giving out gifts to everybody that checks out these shows. And if you like and comment after this video is over, you will be entered to win. You can win either a month of whichever sport you choose, subscription to our site, or you can pick up some merch and get one piece of merch from our merch site. I'm actually going to pull up now for everybody that's watching. If you go to shop.awesemo.com, you can pick up some gear. And as this cold weather season is coming up for me, the Awesemo hoodie is looking like it's going to be on my body within the next couple days. It is too cold right now. I'm tired of being cold, and I gotta rep the squad. So Awesemo hoodie coming pretty soon. And I'm a 3/4 sleeve t-shirt guy, so I might have to do that as well. I like we have a couple color options on the 3/4 sleeve. I like this gray and navy one. Love it. Awesemo gear. I've been waiting for this for 6 months. I'm trying to wear this stuff. Now we're here. And if you're interested, we also have some Fantasy Cruncher gear on there. If you head into the catalog, you can check that out. Not only that, but we are brought to you, as always, by Thrive Fantasy. We don't have the unique URLs any longer for Thrive. It is just bit.ly/Awesemo, which I will drop into the chat right now. Thrive is a new DFS app where you're picking prop bets and building a lineup based on prop bets of all of the main players for a particular night. You'll pick 10 props out of a list of 20, and your goal is to accrue as many points as you can based on those props. Some props are worth a different amount of points, so some game theory comes into play. We're going to touch on a couple of those props throughout the show, but for now, Eddie, how you doing?
Doing great. How you doing? It was a really good weekend. Really enjoyable and profitable for all concerned, I think. So can't beat that.
I'm good. The slate is something else. All right, let's make it easy. Let's dive right in. First game, Pacers and Wizards. This game was looking like the ultimate value game when I woke up this morning. It changed pretty dramatically once everyone was ruled out for Boston. So there's not a lot for me to touch on the Pacers side. They're really just not that appealing to me. On the Wizards side, I'm sticking with their value. I'm playing a decent amount of Satoransky and Rivers, and I really don't have anything else. I'm a little nervous. Otto Porter is relatively chalky in our ownership projections, and he's not someone that I'm getting. But for me, I'm just trying to grab the value out of Washington. What say you on Pacers Wizards?
Yeah, I think the Pacers will go under-owned for just being in a matchup with the Wizards, which brings with it a pretty nice ceiling for some of these guys. So I think you can make an argument for Sabonis, even at his increased price, and maybe even Miles Turner. On DK, I really don't mind playing Tyreke Evans at 1% owned against the Wizards. He's shot like shit, and this is about as good of a spot as you're going to get for him. Sans Oladipo, obviously, against the Wizards. So 150 lineups, I'd have like 3 Tyreke Evans and feel kind of dirty about it, especially FanDuel where he's cheaper. I can see throwing Darren Collison in a lineup for that reason. But again, it's a night where we have a lot of guys now we expect to be superlatively valuable. So all these guys who are like, when you're like, Tyreke, he costs 4,700, I think get me 35. Is that going to be good enough?
Yeah. It's...
like, is that going to get me there? Like that's only, I don't know, 7.5 to 1. I don't know if that's quite enough value there. Talking about the Wizards, so it is important to make it. I believe they will go over-owned, and it's important to make a distinction between the Wizards against the Hawks and the Wizards against the Pacers without John Wall. These are radically different scenarios, and I would expect the production to be a little more even-handed this game than that one because you had both Markieff and Oubre in foul trouble in that game. So you ended up with the value guys, most specifically Satoransky, seeing many more minutes than I think they would have gotten. I think they're both 30 to 32 minutes tonight. I like Austin Rivers as my favorite guy on FanDuel. He's a shooting guard. He's 100 over the minimum. That's fine. I can get behind that. I do think that is objectively way too cheap. and I'm happy to take that punt. On DraftKings, the first Wizard I would play would be Kelly Oubre. Like, I think playing Austin Rivers, and I would still play Rivers over Satoransky. Look, in that, Rivers is going to handle the ball. In that last game, Rivers took 12 shots. Satoransky took 7. Now, Rivers only made 3, and Satoransky made 5. And, you normally aren't going to get Rivers shooting 25% and Satoransky shooting 71. And, Satoransky got 2 steals and a block, and Rivers got none of either when they're roughly same averages on doing those in any context. And Satoransky got 38 minutes when Rivers only got 34, and that had a lot to do with foul trouble on the forwards. So, and I expect Satoransky to be much higher owned. So on either side, I'm much more excited to play Austin Rivers than Tomas Satoransky. He's the bad chalk for me. If he ends up being 40+% owned, I think that's legitimately a bad play. And now he's playing the Pacers. So I think if he may play 33 minutes, take 6 shots, and make 2 of them this time, you get 17 fantasy points at him. So there's good chalk and bad chalk. Satoransky is bad chalk for me. Obviously can get there. Certainly not that expensive at 42, 4,300 and going to play a pile of minutes. And a guy who does have, can play at the forward positions, and it does bring with him minutes upside if other guys get in foul trouble. But I would rather play Kelly Oubre at a fifth of the ownership, and he's $300 more than Sato on DK. I'm gonna play Kelly Oubre, who I just project for more points. It's $300, but if you want a piece of this game on that side, that's where I would go on DK before I played Sato again. And I like Sato a lot as a player, but he just doesn't get the usage, and I see no reason to expect that to change here. I think Beal will still go under on just based on he has a big upside of 25, minutes played, and a lot of people will play more of the other worse Wizards than they should, so that drives his ownership down a little bit. I think Keefe at 5,200 on DK makes some sense in tournaments. If he doesn't get in foul trouble, I think you're looking at 32 minutes or something, and he's pretty cheap. But yeah, the Celtics basically obliterate these guys when it comes to value. I have many of them projected for a few more minutes. Most of them are cheaper, and the matchup is vastly better. So, yeah.
There we go. Sixers. Ooh. Major echo.
I will turn down my speakers.
Let's see if we're good. There we go.
Let's see if we're good.
We're good. Sixers and Pistons. This one blew up now. No Stanley Johnson. No Reggie Bullock. And no Blake Griffin, which is one I didn't see coming today. Yeah. Embiid is in. Apparently he had a migraine. This game's insanity. I love Embiid, Simmons, and Butler. Those are the guys that I'm focusing on most from Philly. From the Pistons side, I'm going to some Drummond. It's hard not to at his current price point, along with some Reggie Jackson and some Langston Galloway. The Stanley Johnson news dropped right before we went on the show, so I haven't re-crunched, but there's not going to be a ton of real interest from me on the Glenn Robinson, Kyrie Thomas type level. So yeah, there's just too much value out there to go digging on the Pistons.
Yeah, it's Bruce Brown before either of those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I would actually probably go Brown. I'm a huge fan of Langston Galloway. I would then go Brown. I would then actually go Luke Kennard, who got back up over 20 minutes, something on the weekend before I went to Glenn, who is not good, and got 15 and 16 minutes even starting last game. So, yeah, that's how I would rank those guys. I'm going to take a look at our current ownership projection for Drummond, but based on what I've been seeing all day, it is interesting for me because right now we have him sitting at 27%. At that number, I wouldn't play any. Now, that is just based on the fact that there are a ton of great guys to play on this evening slate, and I expect him to be really popular. And again, most times that I go with the guy I'm trying to fade, there's a real chance this goes really badly for him. 2 out of the last 3 games he played against Embiid. Embiid made him look like shit, put him in foul trouble, etc., etc. Now, let me be clear. The ceiling is massive. I don't know if anyone in the previous shows went over some of the statistics involved here, but he gets his shit going when Blake is not on the court. The end of last year, Blake was out for quite a while, and you were repeatedly getting 26 and 23, 20 and 18, 20. He gets really, really involved in the offense. So if he does not get in foul trouble, and that's basically the limitation here, or if this game doesn't blow out significantly, which is now a real possibility, there is a massive, massive upside for Drummond.
Yeah.
But for me, I will get off of 25-30% on Drummond and play a number of other guys. Most notably, my favorite center, probably Joel Embiid. He's looked great here, and if they do blow out the Pistons, which seems more likely than the converse, it likely is to some degree on his back, and he's just too cheap for Joel Embiid. In the 2 games he played against the Pistons earlier, sure, he had basically 65 in both of them if you're game log watching. So I'm a pretty big fan of getting Joel Embiid at that reduced price. And again, I have no objection with playing Drummond in anything. Drummond is so cheap, if I saw him in your cash lineup, even though I do think it can go sideways pretty quick, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Just because, 70% of the time shit won't go crazy, and he should just objectively be very good at $8,400. That being said, it's one of those positions I'm trying to move to the other side of.
Any interest then in getting weird with Zaza Pachulia if you're trying to go in a different direction from Drummond?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think he's still sitting at the flat 3K. There's actually a number of interesting 3Ks tonight. I think you can go to. But I think that's a bridge too far here. You have Trey Lyles in the world, and you have various other guys where I think trying to make Zaza happen is a bit dicey, and it's not like Zaza against lots of Embiid defense would necessarily be a position to target. It does make me like Langston Galloway more. He played yesterday. The Pistons are on a back-to-back. But he was a slate breaker, and those of you who were there yesterday, A, congratulations on the money you made because Sunday was good. But B, he looked really good and took a big role in this offense, and that was not unexpected. They really like him. They've thrown him more minutes than I felt he objectively deserved the entire year. Again, yesterday he got 37 with no Stanley, no Ish, no Reggie Bullock. Now you still have all those guys out, and now you have Blake Griffin missing too. So there's just now oodles of goddamn usage floating around. So I like John Lure, certainly, if you want to be cute. There should be a lot of minutes there for John Lure, and I don't think his ownership will be anywhere near where it should be. I would get some exposure to him.
I don't like John Lure today.
I don't either. But
I'm not confident he can play big minutes yet.
I'm not either, but if it's 26 minutes.
I don't know if he can play 26 minutes.
He looked really good the other day. Again, if you watched he went in the lane and did a 2-hand power dunk over 2 guys on the Pellies. He looked awesome. Now, again, that was yesterday, so it's back-to-back too. So I'm nervous. So let me contextualize. In 150 lineups, I would have 50 Langston Galloway. I would massively overrate the field because I think there's a real chance he takes 26 shots here, but not being hypothetical at all. If the game blows out, maybe because all the minutes he doesn't play because he's a veteran, and all those minutes go to, the Kyrie Thomas, Bruce Brown, et cetera of the world. That's you are picking him against the ball, but he is wicked cheap. And yesterday he had 40 fantasy points and sort of cracked the slate. I'm just a big fan of him at his price, and more importantly, his ownership. We're looking at all these other guys: 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70% on Daniel Tice. I'll take this other guy that I think has a similar upside at 7%, 9%, whatever you come out of there. So at Reggie, just objectively makes sense as a guy who just has huge upside, much less secure to me. Has looked decent against the 76ers in the past, although fraudulent a couple times. That would be about it. And then for the Sixers, again, Embiid my favorite pretty significantly. Butler would be the second, Simmons the third for me. But past Embiid, I do worry about the blowout a little bit, and the other positional matchups are interesting to say the least. So other spots where I like sort of playing the Pellies in the game against the Celtics is sort of stacking that game a little bit more if we think that stays close. And other guys, I think I prefer a little bit to Ben Simmons and Butler at their current ownership, because I still don't look at this as wow, what a great spot for them, because Embiid's playing, so it's just sort of a standard day for them against a pretty good Detroit defense that doesn't get that much work with Blake out, who wasn't doing that much work at the defensive end anyway. So I'd be under on Simmons and Butler. I'll put it that way.
I really liked Reggie Jackson this morning and thought, I'll be able to get a decent amount of him. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't even need to get a decent amount of him any longer. He's just not going to be owned on FanDuel.
Yep.
Too much guard value. Speaking of guard value, here it comes. Boston Celtics and New Orleans Pelicans. So this line is, I believe, still it's at 3. Boston's favored by 3. This is telling me that there's absolutely no way that Anthony Davis is playing this game.
He is playing and starting without a minutes limit.
That came out?
Yep.
And this line is still dropping. The Boston Celtics are still favored with all these dudes out. Wow.
Yeah, I wish he. I am surprised. So let me say again, watched the entirety of the game yesterday against the Pistons. So this is nice that we're just went from one half of that game to the other one. This is another team on a back-to-back. So you have Anthony Davis on the back-to-back who got a hit pointer yesterday, left the game, returned, and did not look good. Played 26 minutes and did not accrue 10 of a stat. That doesn't happen with Anthony Davis very much. And the opposing team is sitting 3 of their best 4 players and 4 guys. Really strange to me that they are running him out here in this spot. That just seems, and now obviously I'm not on the training staff. Maybe they're in the back and he looks great. Okay, fine. Which I think I now have to like him as a tournament play, as apparently close to 100% Anthony Davis, or you can't imagine they're doing this.
Ooh, they're resting Eton Moore though, thank God.
Yeah, well, you may think so, but Etuan Moore's line yesterday went not on injury report, questionable, ruled out, and then he checked in. I was like, oh, okay. And then a minute after that, it was like, yeah, he'll play. It's like, okay, good call. So he had a really, yesterday there was some fun action with the injury reports, but he was literally ruled out and then checked in 8 minutes into the game. It's like, hey, look, Etuan Moore. So, yeah. But again, back-to-back, like, Anthony Davis is the ultimate risk-reward. He's under 11,000 on DK. He's going to be 4% owned, but you're stacking him up with the Celtics guys, of which you should be playing at least 2 on every line. I feel pretty comfortable saying. I think a lineup without 2 Celtics in it is an incorrectly constructed lineup. But I like him in tournaments at, again, 3% owned. There's a real chance that he gets injured. This can obviously go sideways a number of ways. I really just dislike it because it takes Drew Holiday and Randall from guys I really, really liked. Like, I think other people were way under on what they should have been on Drew Holiday at 8,000. To now making them like, I don't really want to play them both now. So like the DK, placeholder I have sitting here, I don't know what I want to do with, because I was really happing those guys in there and I really thought they would sit Brow, but apparently they're not sitting Brow.
Yeah. What's really crazy to me, I've had him in from a minutes perspective all day, and I usually keep everybody in until they're not questionable any longer. And I didn't get any on my most recent crunch, even with all of the value. It was really, really surprising to me.
He's been good against the Celtics. Now, that's sort of irrelevant, as these aren't really the Celtics anymore. You now have no Kyrie, no Hayward, Tatum is still out there. That might affect Brow somehow, but he's actually been very good against the Celtics to the extent that nobody else really was. It wasn't a good matchup for Drew Holiday over time, various other Pelicans. Brow in his last 4 or 5 games against the Celtics has like a 60, a 65, a 70, and a 75. Like he's been legitimately solid here, and they've gone to him a lot. And that's the way Brad's defended him, is that he can get his one-on-one matchups, and that's just the easiest way for them to go. I don't know exactly how it is going to work out now, but again, it leaves Drew fine to play in anything. 8,000 is too cheap, and you have some correlation with your Celtics. Randall 7,100 is too cheap, goddamn regardless. And Anthony Davis in play for me. Like that's where I come out on it at this point, but definitely muddied things up a little bit as far as the Celtics go. On FanDuel, Daniel Tice is my 3rd favorite Celtic power forward. Like my placeholder lineup has Morris and Tatum in there, who I love both of. Obviously, you're getting at much lower ownership. Gives you a really unique lineup construction. If I was playing one lineup tonight on FanDuel, I would have the other 2 Celtic power forwards in there, which is kind of funny. Because Tice is a power forward there, right?
He is.
That's really funny. They're starting 3 power forwards, according to FanDuel. They're starting power forward, point guard. That's really funny. They're starting a full house of power forwards and point guards.
They have, of all the value for the Celtics today, there isn't any at small forward on FanDuel. Like, that's just a ghost town for them. Unless you're like a really big Semi Ojeleye fan, but you shouldn't be. But I mean, you should be a Semi Ojeleye fan for basketball.
Oh yeah,
for daily
basketball.
Fantasy sports.
Guy's great. Puts his head down. Another great wing defender they have. Does his job. I like Semi Ojeleye, but yeah, no. Just no, don't do that. But all right. So all these starting Celtics are objectively amazing on either side. Yeah. Tice, Tatum, Morris, Smart, Rozier are all great. So you are just dealing with sort of ownership issues, how heavily you want to get on the game. Some of them are more egregiously underpriced. The most underpriced guy per site is probably Rozier on FanDuel at 4,100.
Yeah.
Really hard to get away from. I project him for somewhere around 33 fantasy points. I'm curious where you have him, but
33.3.
Really, is that what you have him at?
Yeah.
That's great. I love when that makes me happy when you guys with your sophisticated computers match up with me and my abacus. So that's really hard to get away from, and I don't know if you need to try on a slate this big, but I have Smart projected for less, but on DK I consider them roughly even point per dollar plays based on the differentiation between their salaries. Tatum is great on either side. I think he takes 23 shots tonight. I had him guessed at. Marcus Morris is just great at 5,500 both sides. The price is heavier for Marcus Smart on FanDuel, but obviously steals and blocks are worth more, and it's more likely you're going to get into those. Those two teams did play earlier this year. Again, Anthony Davis was very good for the Pelicans, and everyone was good for the Celtics. And that's when everyone cost a hell of a lot more, but you got a good game out of Hayward, good game out of Kyrie, good game out of Horford, good game out of Tatum. Like it was but yeah, Jaylen Brown, I think my favorite off the bench. What do you think about the other bench guys on the Celtics? I'm curious.
I'm just sticking to the top 6. I'm not going to any Robert Williams. I'm not going to Semi. I'm not going to Brad Wanamaker or PJ Dozier. I just want to stick with the guys that are getting their additional run that are priced like the team is healthy. So give me Tatum, Tice, Rozier, Smart, Morris, Brown. I don't want to get cute anywhere else.
Okay, and I don't think you necessarily need to, but I was just curious if there was anyone there you were particularly enamored of.
I mean, if I had to play anyone out of that group, as weird as it sounds, it's probably Robert Williams, just on the off. Like, Tice can pick up too early, and Robert Williams might have to soak up
some minutes. Yeah, body. Like if Tice gets 2 fouls in 4 minutes, which again, that's one of the reasons I'm happy. It's tough to get away on DK. I'm pretty happy to move away on FanDuel. Because again, on FanDuel, I have Rozier as exceptional value. I like Rivers and I like Galloway. Okay, those guys cost 3.6, 3.5, and 4.1.
Yeah.
I don't need more value at power forward, and he's more expensive there and massively chalky. So yeah, play. Again, I have Tatum and Morris. I have Tatum and Morris still sitting in there in the lineup I'm toying with, and I really enjoy that. So I feel pretty good moving away there. You're going to see lots of Randall and Anthony Davis, and Daniel Tice is not as good as he was in his last game.
No.
Get that out of the way. Like, he's good, but that was a shockingly good game, and it was shocking for a reason. So, DK, even FanDuel, just objectively a great play, but there's enough objectively great other plays there that I'm a little more comfortable moving away, and the price is a little higher, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, in these situations, I generally try to focus most on guys that are underpriced because they don't normally have the same role. And so, like, Tatum is, while I have him a lot, because this is actually, still a really good game, pace up spot for Boston, all that nonsense.
Yep.
Tatum's the guy that I'm least interested in just because he's already priced where he should be in theory. Now, he gets a usage bump for people being out. It does make him a little bit better, but guys like, Rozier gains the most out of this by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
Smart, similarly, he's gaining 10 plus minutes on what he's normally playing. That's the stuff that I'm normally looking for in these games.
Yeah, so I guess to give the final sum up, more people here are playing on DraftKings than they are on FanDuel. So, and most people are playing tournaments as opposed to cash. So to look at all these guys and talk about the order I like them in DraftKings tournaments, I would probably say, give me a minute, I want to get this right. I'm probably going to say I like them Tice, Smart, Tatum, Morris, Rozier. I think is sort of how I'd rank them top to bottom. But again, they're all fairly close, and it's just guessing where the ownership is going to be. And I just have Rozier that low because after Tice, I think he is the highest owned. And, if you're eating the Tice chalk, then that's fine. Otherwise, you could put Tice down at the bottom if you want to get away from it, which, again, doesn't bother me. There's just a ton of exceptional value. So, if you really I do think if our current ownership projections, which have Tice at 74%, and then a lot of this other value at 20%, I'm generally going to want to play that other value because I just don't project Tice that much higher. Yeah. And you're telling me I can catch up on 75% of the field? Like, it's not that hard for me to imagine Tice failing. So he's sitting here in the DK placeholder that, again, I'm not allowed to play, but if I could, I guess this is what I would throw in. But I'm a fan of making some moves.
Okay. Do we have anything else for this game?
If we do, we'll get to it in questions we won't have time for.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, we've had essentially 3 of the most important games
right. No, those games needed 8 minutes apiece, and a lot of these I'm gonna be like this guy, this works, move it.
Yeah. Bulls Kings. I've got some Wendell Carter on FanDuel at 6K. I feel similarly about him on DraftKings at 5K. Little bit of Markkanen, little bit of Levine, but it's hard to like anything else for the Bulls now with Portis and Dunn both back and earmarked for like 20 minutes. And then on the Sacramento side, I really like Buddy Hield for 6,100 on FanDuel, just underpriced for the site. I would have liked to like De'Aaron Fox more, but it's just really hard to get to him.
Can't spend 8K on De'Aaron Fox. Like you can, and he still looks great. So yeah, this is a great game. I really like getting a piece of this game. Someone in this game is going to be really, really goddamn good. Yeah. This is the fast game. These are 2 teams who don't play a ton of defense. You are going to get 50 out of Willie Cauley-Stein or 48 out of Buddy Hield or 59 out of De'Aaron Fox in a triple-double, or Zach LaVine probably the most likely, with those guys coming back in to put up the ceiling. If they give 20 to 24 minutes, the coach said to Portis and Dunn, like this lineup was already getting a little bit crowded. So like I'm not playing any Portis or Dunn. They're just not cheap enough yet. I wouldn't play any Arcidiacono. Wendell Carter, I agree. So yeah, I think it's Carter, Levine, and Markkanen. Salt to taste. I like having one in a tournament lineup. Don't kill yourself. And Sacramento, yeah, I think on DK, Bagley still makes a lot of sense and can clearly spike an upside game at 4,700. No reason you couldn't get 40 out of him in this spot. I like going to the bigs more. So probably for me, tournaments, I'd be Bagley, then Cauley-Stein, DK prices, then Hield, then Fox. But I like having a guy out of this game in your tournament lineups if it maths out.
Yeah, Bagley was looking super tasty earlier in the day, 4,700 on DraftKings. Now we have him projected for 5% ownership.
Yeah, no, there's going to be so much chalk in those other games, randomly spiking the right guy from the. I mean, I loved Bagley against Cleveland, and he played 25 minutes and sort of flukily only got 1 rebound, so he ended up with a rebound, an assist, a steal, a block, and like I don't remember what it was, 17 points on 7 of 9 shooting or something. Like he played really well, but didn't get as many minutes as we hoped, and meh. So it's risky, but yeah.
Alrighty. Moving on, Bucks and Cavs. Revenge narrative here for Matthew Dellavedova getting traded from the Bucks to a hapless Cavs team. Lucky him. I now have the ability to play some Giannis. It was not something I was looking at whatsoever this morning at 12,300, just simply too cheap. But money's cheap today. Money's cheap. So a little bit of Giannis. I don't have much else in the Bucks side. This isn't really a good spot for them. It's a slow down game. Cavs have a little bit of a pace up. So I actually have a little bit of Chetty at 4,700. And then I can't stop playing Colin Sexton at this price with the way that he has been playing. Only 5,300.
Yeah, he's running 25 to 30% usage every game, taking 20 plus shots every game. So much so that it makes it almost impossible to play Nance now. It takes a little shine off playing Chetty. Burks' price has come up. So Sexton, kind of makes the most sense. I don't mind Giannis as much as other people simply because if he's the highest scoring player by half a fantasy point, he may still be in the best lineup. It's much more likely than if you don't have as much stupid value.
Yeah.
Like when you get multiple guys who cost 3,500 to 4,300 who have a real chance of putting up 45, then if Giannis scores 70.5 and Westbrook scores 70 for $1,800 less, you may very possibly have still wanted Giannis. Yeah. So the superfluity of ridiculous value makes him a little bit better. But yeah, Sexton I think makes a ton of sense. Chetty is 47 FanDuel, 43 DK. Again, Sexton is taking all his damn shots, but that number is obviously still cheap. But again, potential blowout in play here. So I'm much happier playing Giannis just for Jan massive ceiling or Cavs just because of potential minutes there. Did we get a in-out firm on Hood yet?
Not that I'm aware of. I
can't
remember seeing it. I still have him in.
Both Hood and Clarkson were questionable, and if neither of them have updated, that is something to keep an eye on. If both Hood and Clarkson sit, then I'm a pretty big fan of Sexton and Burks.
Yeah,
like they just have to play a shit ton of minutes at that point. But at that point, they may start Dellavedova and give him 30.
Yeah,
and that sort of makes it a mess. So yeah, basically similar situation with Bulls and Kings. Grab a guy and happily throw him in a tournament. Um, Bucks, Giannis makes sense for the reasons discussed, and probably Brook Lopez would be the next guy I'd look to in a tournament.
Yeah, he's another guy that I had like some shares of that it's just evaporated with value.
Yep. Oh, they're just status update in the last 30 seconds. Hood and Clarkson, both game time decisions.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All of this value that's come out today, and none of it's at small forward on FanDuel. And that's how you end up with whatever you want of Giannis and LeBron and Durant and Paul George, because you got to pay, you got to spend the money at small forward no matter what.
No, you don't. You can play Bojan. I like Bojan.
What I mean is you don't have a choice. You have to play two small forwards.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying of the non-super expensive small forwards, my favorite is Bojan, who I don't think I specifically mentioned, but he's just too cheap there. Without Oladipo out, he's been sort of the winner. He's still only 52 on FanDuel, right? You're the FanDuel guy.
He is 52.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me. I still feel pretty safe about that. Again, I think the Pacers will be a little under-owned for just, hey, we're in an amazing matchup with the Wizards.
Oklahoma City and Utah. This one's just Russ and Paul George for me. A little bit as Schroeder, but it's not the same sort of volume. I'm paying up for Russ and Paul George. And then on the Utah side, I have almost none of it. Just some Ricky Rubio, under 10%. I want the studs, and I can't imagine going any other direction here.
Yeah, I think that's completely correct. I'd probably go Donovan Mitchell over Rubio. It's played out a little bit for him in the past. Again, we've seen these two teams played a lot. They played 4 times last year and then 6 games in the playoffs. So there was a lot of tape to look at here. So if I'm taking a Jazz member, it would be Donovan Mitchell for me over the other 4. And I agree with that. It's Russ and Paul George here. I like Russ more, even obviously at their relative prices. He's been really good against the Jazz overall and spiked the ceiling repeatedly. In the 6 playoff games, where again they were running the starters out super hard and defense was obviously at a premium, he cleared 75 in 2 of them. And over the last couple of years had, I believe, literally 4 more 70-point games against the Jazz. So like it is not tough with him against the Jazz or against Rubio, and the ceiling absolutely exists is the moral of that story. So yeah, feel free. I like Russ quite a bit. I have him projected pretty high.
Okay. Well, shit, where did that go?
I don't know. Where'd it go?
I know this was on here. I looked at it this morning. Maybe I'm wrong. Russ, Paul George, Utah. Over under. Blocks and steals for Rudy Gobert on Thrive Fantasy tonight. What do you think the line is?
I'll guess they put the line at, I'll say 4.5.
2.5. Over for 85 points, though.
Yeah, I will still take the over, but it's a shit matchup for him. Like, I have no interest in playing Rudy Gobert. And again, he was kind of chalky one of the games over the weekend, and we did a nice standoff on him. Again, it was a really strong weekend. And again, on the weekends, especially Sundays, all y'all studs are playing football. So Sunday's been, go to church and make money at DFS is a good use of your Sunday. But yeah, I will take over 2.5. I mean, that still seems okay to me. I expect this game to stay reasonably close, but it's a shit matchup for him. He does not do well against Steven Adams. I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but I guarantee you he averages low to mid 30s. So like I'm no thanks for me, but I'll take over 2.5 on the Thrive.
One more for this game, and then we'll get out of here and go back to game by game. 100 points on both sides. Total points for Paul George. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'll say, see, there's a playoff series and that whole thing. I'll say 19.5.
20.5.
Looks
so like someone's taking the under.
I guess I'll take the under.
There we go.
It's a very good line. So yeah. I almost said 20. So we're...
Alrighty. Into Dallas and Orlando. This game was looking like a really irrelevant game up until about a half hour ago, at which point Never Google got ruled out. I like me some Jonathan Simmons as a small forward punt. I have some Vooch. He's 8,700 on FanDuel. I think there's some ceiling there for sure. This game is just kind of in the ether now. I don't really need anything else.
Yep, giving you the 10-second version. Magic, Terrence Ross, another guy fun to throw in a tournament lineup now. Jonathan Isaac on DK only worth 4,100. Reasonable to throw in a tournament now. And Vooch, reasonable to throw in a tournament now. I do like Vooch more than Gordon in this specific spot. both a ceiling spot for him. Looking across the ball, I don't hate DeAndre Jordan on FanDuel at 7,000, actually. His rebound totals in the last 4 games against the Magic with Vooch starting are 18, 20, 20, and 18. Those are big numbers. When you get 25 points in rebounds, it's a little easier to, I guess that'd be 22 or 24 points in rebounds. But you take my point, it's a little easier to spike an upside. And 7,000 on FanDuel is pretty cheap for him. So he would be like my number 3 tournament center. I kind of like DeAndre Jordan. I kind of like Luka Doncic on FanDuel also, where he's a little cheaper at 6,900 with no Dennis Smith Jr. But again, like I project him for 35. I think there's a decent chance you get like 41. I don't know if that gets the job done at $6,900 tonight. So yeah. It's just we're in a really weird situation where you're almost picking just raw points guys, because we have a lot of guys who cost 4,000 we think get us 35. So we have a lot of guys who cost 11,000 we think get us 65. It's really hard to math into the guy who costs 7,000 we think gets us 45.
Creates a weird conundrum tonight.
It does.
Moving on.
I got one of my favorite value plays, and are we going to Phoenix?
No, we're going to Denver and Memphis for the briefest of times. Trey Lyles.
Yep.
Goes without saying on DK. I still like him on FanDuel as well. And then
he's
that's
like 56 on FanDuel, right? Like he's a big number.
Yeah, I don't want to go crazy on Trey Lyles. The minutes are there, and he's been fantastic in this role previously, even last year. Close to a point per minute guy.
Yeah.
So I'm there, but this is about as unappealing as a game as you can find.
Yeah, so love Trey Lyles on DK. He is still the epitome of good chalk. He was good chalk over the weekend. He was way lower owned than he should have been. He was like 40%, and then nom. That was good money. Again, weekends, man. These two teams got together earlier this year, and Trey Lyles was really good. He put 26 off the bench and had like 30 fantasy points. Just legit outscored Millsap in that game, who had a little bit more trouble. Jokic has never had what I would consider any kind of ceiling game against Marc Gasol, and that's for very good reason. Now, there is a real chance he just has to suck up so much goddamn usage here that you can still get 80 out of Jokic. Like, the whole team is missing. So I have 150 lineups. I would have like 5 Nikola Jokic's, and I hate the spot. But Jamal Murray also, and F you, Justin Anderson, by the way. We had a lot of people win 4 or 5 digits over the weekend. We had a lot of Jamal Murray, and then Justin Anderson, fucking Grayson Allen spike kicked Jamal Murray in the shin.
Gave him the old angry pirate, or at least the first half.
So goddamn aggravating, because literally we had a lot of people ended up with 14-point Jamal Murray, where if he had been 30, went from making $2,000 to 40. So very aggravating how that worked out. We had a couple people with basically the perfect lineup in Jamal Murray, but I don't know how healthy Jamal Murray is. He's not even necessarily in yet. So if this team starts Monty Morris, Torrey Craig, Juancho, Trey Lyles, and Jokic, I don't know what happens when Nikola Jokic takes 36 shots in an NBA game, but I want to see that. So just saying I would have some exposure to Jokic, because I do think some sort of stupid upside stuff could happen. Marc Gasol's too cheap. 8,400, 8,300. Again, these teams played earlier this year. Marc Gasol had 50. Like, I think I prefer Vooch a touch at this point, but I'd have a little interest in a little bit of Marc Gasol even. And again, the score in that game was 87, 86. It was a close game, and I think everyone was in the 8. It wasn't good. We'll leave it at that. It was not good. Jaren Jackson still makes sense for me in tournaments any day at 6,900, 5,900. Just can make threes and do steals and do blocks. Can get you 7 stocks on FanDuel, and DK is cheaper. Like, that will always make sense for me. And Kyle Anderson at 4,200 is too cheap on DK, and still makes some sense in tournaments. I can't describe in words how much I would rather play Kyle Anderson than Tomas Satoransky in a tournament lineup tonight. Like, Kyle Anderson.
I can't explain in any words how much I hate playing Kyle Anderson, and yet I have him.
Yeah, well, see, exactly. Yeah, he's a tremendous tournament play who will disappoint you 85% of the time. But he put up his, I don't even know, 50 burger over the weekend. So no reason to expect that to happen here. But infinitely more likely to get 50 out of Kyle Anderson than Tomas Satoransky against the Pacers.
Phoenix Suns and Los Angeles Clippers. That's the one you were looking for.
My favorite guy from this game is
Montrezl Harrell.
I like him quite a bit in tournaments, but no.
Rashawn Holmes?
Boban.
Oh, really?
He started over the weekend. And again, this is just one of those things that people who are playing football don't get. He started. If he's a start against the Suns at $3,800, Sign me up, Captain. Plus, like, I'm just saying, leave the spot open. That's all I'm saying. 9 p.m. game. Be ready to swap into Boban starting against the Suns. Just saying. Gortat did not play. Boban started the last game in the worst possible fucking spot. So Boban got swapped in. There was the weirdest 20 minutes in the history of fantasy basketball. Where
this is the Miami game, right?
Yes. Where they went, Josh Richardson, who had no injury designation, will sit. Robert Covington, who had been probable, will sit. And then at 10-10, they're like, and Boban will start for the Suns against Miami, or will start for the Clippers against Miami, which made no goddamn sense. Because the two centers that Miami was going to play were Bam and Kelly Olynyk, which are the two types of centers you don't want Boban guarding.
Yeah.
Guy who's an elite three-point shooter and super energy fast guy, those aren't good spots. You know what kind of center you do want him guarding? DeAndre Ayton. It's like, hi, I've got post moves. Like, he can handle that. Boban can handle that. So I think Boban starts. I'll go 70-30 he starts. And $3,800 Boban on DK, I'm a pretty big fan of. So I'm hoping for... Boban. I'm a fan of 856 Boban starting. I'll leave it at that. Other than that, you can really play any of the other four starters for the Clips in a tournament line. I have no objection. Again, the entire slate is thrown the fuck off because of all the ridiculous value. So more inclined to play guys who cost 4K and 11K. But Tobias Harris can get you 50 here. Danilo Gallinari did get you 50 here, actually. Last time they played the Suns, he got that. Avery Bradley's playing 30 whatever minutes against the Suns. That sort of speaks for itself. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at still just a little bit too cheap. He's still 5K flat on DK. Sort of a Reggie Jackson pivot there, I suppose, at the exact same number. And Montrez at 6.7 is going to have some stupid 55-point game at some point soon. Certainly no reason it couldn't be against the Suns.
Alrighty.
And for the Suns themselves, don't play any. Don't play any.
It's a tough one.
Ayton?
I have cursory shares of Warren and Rashawn Holmes on the off chance that works out.
Warren's playing, but his minutes are limited, I think. So I don't think you want 6K Warren in 20 minutes.
It's only 4%. I think that if anybody can do it, it's him and this team, though. If Booker were healthy, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. But it's not like he's not going to shoot his ass off when he gets in there.
Luke Kennard and Bruce Brown starting. And John Lure starting, by the way, for the Pistons.
Go Pistons.
So they're starting Reggie, Andre, Luke Kennard, Bruce Brown, and John Lure. So for reference, I will stick by 26 minutes for John Lure. Bruce Brown, I would also put in the high 20s. Luke Kennard, I think, gets that Glenn Robinson bullshit. I start, but I do nothing role. Glenn Robinson third started the last two games and played, I believe, 15 and 16. Tonight, the role of Glenn Robinson III will be played by Luke Kennard, probably, but he got 22 last game. Maybe gets 24 now or something. But Langston, my guy, unless we randomly.
What does Ben Simmons do to this team? Who guards Ben Simmons in that starting lineup?
As soon as you said that, I got shivers. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's
because if you want to pick someone, then the best one, it immediately goes to, well, then who the hell is guarding Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, I got nothing. They're again 8K guys on a slate where they need to get me like 55 to make me happy, but I feel pretty good that when I'm get there. So again, I was much higher on Drummond at this point, but when you put it that way and I actually look at it, there's no one on this team. Like, some combination of once they get into the half court, John Lure is actually reasonably fleet of foot and can try to sit on Ben Simmons, but like coming down the court, Ben Simmons, nope. No, sir.
Warriors and Timberwolves. Steph Curry might be my favorite play on the day today, and I feel like no one's talking about him. 9,200 on FanDuel. It's fantastic.
92 on FanDuel is objectively very sexy. You really, really want Robert Covington in.
Yeah.
Like if Robert Covington doesn't play, I project Durant for significantly more fantasy points. He has generally been good against the Wolves, generally been better than Curry against the Wolves, but generally had some difficulty with Covington. If you get Covington in, I'm fully on Team Steph. If Covington isn't in, I just think that portends a larger role in the offense for Durant. So, I like Steph a lot. And 9,200 on FanDuel is just a misprice.
Yeah.
Like DK is 97, that's fine. But he should be following the normal. I think 97 is correct on DK, which would mean correct on FanDuel would be 10-4.
Yeah, he can blow that clear out of the water.
Right, yeah. So just 9,200. That sounds good. Like the line is significant. It's like a 10, I think. So some chance of a blowout, but yeah, I'm thumbs up, soldier. I'm all in on $9,200 stuff, and I certainly don't hate 9,700. Yeah, usual suspects are not anywhere. Yeah. If Covington doesn't play, I'm gonna prefer Durant a little bit to Steph. On DraftKings, where they cost the same. On FanDuel, I'll probably still take Steph at $1,100 less, I think is the way that maths out. And you can still DK punt Kevon Looney. He'll start and carries an upside and is just sort of a Tice pivot.
Got a little Draymond too. Only 6,700 on DK. Yeah. Willing to take that chance.
Yeah, the 67 on FanDuel, I think, right? He's 7 on DK.
Yeah, 67 on FanDuel.
Yeah. No, that's I'm absolutely fine with that. And then for the Timberwolves, it is not a great spot for Karl Anthony Towns, but 9,200 on DK, he's just cheap. And with his role with this team now, you'd like to think he can get on top of it. But again, Warriors, not a great spot for him, not a great spot for most centers. I still like it just fine in tournaments because the ownership will be low. And Derrick Rose is cute with the possibility of Covington not playing and them shifting everybody down a spot. But then again, that makes this game even less competitive. Like if you're taking anyone from this game, you want Covington playing, even if you're not taking Covington, because unfettered Durant and Curry is not good time.
Agreed.
Cool.
Finishing it out, Lakers and Heat. Whew, what a late night hammer. LeBron is sort of like a default play today now that all this value is out. I've got 30-something%, and that's what the public is with. I have a hard time figuring out where else to go at small forward to reallocate that sort of exposure. I have little bits of JaVale, Josh Hart, one lone share of Kyle Kuzma. And then on the Miami side, I'm a little surprised by this, but the price has been coming down a little bit. Josh Richardson is the guy that I'm looking at the most here. Not happy about it.
Back. I don't want to on this slate. It's the same reason why I can't get behind TJ Warren. You told me no Booker, TJ Warren, 60 whatever the hell 100 without a minutes limit. Okay, I can see doing that in tournaments on this slate where we really, if somebody's sick something, they need 40 to be even in consideration. I can see that happening. If you tell me he's gonna get 20 minutes, I just don't know if he can get there. So like I like Josh Richardson. I've been the conductor on the Josh Richardson train for a couple of years now. Including calling him out many times when he was bad, where he just took a break at the beginning of last year for 2 months for reasons I still don't understand, and then turned into being awesome. But now I've got Dragic back. I get going.
He's 6,800 on FanDuel. Even when Dragic was healthy, he was 7,700. He's $900 cheaper than even when Goran Dragic was still in the lineup.
Yeah, but he was never good at that number. Like he's a guy who, in a good matchup, I'll give you this is objectively a very good matchup. I still think he plays a lot of minutes. They'll go small a little bit more. But you're telling me I need 40. I can't do it with Josh Richardson and Tyler Johnson there. He's not going to handle the ball. That moves his projection for me from 38 to 31. And that's enough that, I don't know, I just can't quite do it. Could it get there? Sure. But with Dragic back, just the odds of him spiking the super upside, which is what I'm really looking for, I would have relatively. I mean, I would rather play James Johnson, Bam Adebayo, or Kelly Olynyk.
Sure.
I think Jay Rich would be my fourth favorite guy on this team. If we don't have Dragic news, Dragic at 5,800 on FanDuel, if we get he will play his full allocation of minutes, would be pretty sexy for me.
I have 6% of him right now, which is 3 times the field.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm right with you on all of that. I don't think with again, you have Ellington back and Magruder back, and that's just another thing that I think also. With Ellington back, Magruder back. All right.
I hope that's not news.
That's what happens when you confiscate your daughter's phone, and she has apparently set her ringtone to I don't even know House of the Rising Sun Jazz. But anyway, yeah, I would go with the bigs rather than the smalls if I was looking at this spot. And then for the Lakers, yeah, I totally agree with your take, LeBron and stuff.
Okay.
Lonzo is apparently, we have Lonzo projected at like 20-something%, which we have Lonzo as our number 4 projected guy, which I don't understand, and I have a feeling is, all right, he's disappeared now. All right, he's come down a little bit. We've redone our ownership. Interesting. Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, I like these numbers. And Lonzo came down a bit, but we apparently have Lonzo as being fairly popular, so then I really wouldn't want much.
His price is insane on DK.
Yeah, 52 is too cheap. Like he's a guy who carries a very easy 40-point upside, so 52 is obviously a nice number, and makes an interesting Rozier pivot on DK. I will give him that.
Looks like we made it.
Look how far we've come
6 minutes
now.
to spare.
Yeah, we're amazing.
Do you have Slack open by any chance?
I do.
I'm in my last minute of pasting in my lineups.
All right,
let me hit a Slack question or two.
Let me get on top of that. I have Slack open, but like our internal thing. So let me pivot it over to the actual internal chat. And here we go. Questions as quick as we can do them. If I say anything you consider too stupid, by all means, jump in here and tell me what I did wrong.
All right.
Someone said 9,900 Curry. I thought it was 97 on DK. Someone listed the Pistons starters. There's not a lot of questions here. People are pegging Osmo with questions in the chat for a reason that I don't understand. Westy and Bam, we didn't specifically address Bam. Bam on DK at 5,800. He can really get on top of that in this matchup. I would have some interest in playing Bam. I mentioned him vaguely, but I legitimately like Bam Adebayo in tournaments. Drummond and Beal or Westy and Bam. I would play Westy and Bam in a tournament over Drummond and Beal. Again, I am single lineup against playing Drummond in your lineup tonight. I just think there's a real chance he fails, and if he's 30% owned, I would rather play Vucevic. I would rather play Marc Gasol. I would rather play Embiid. I would rather play DeAndre Jordan. I would rather play a lot of centers than Drummond tonight, just because I'm worried he gets real estated.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Is Beal your favorite play, Fast Eddie Fear? No, I'm fine with Beal. He's got a real upside, but he's priced up and the matchup is bad. So please rank James Johnson, Lure, and Tice. Tice is your best cash option in tournaments. God, I think I'm actually playing Lure over James Johnson and Tice. Care to object? I think you might.
Yeah, I would play Tice in that situation. I'm very, very, very nervous about John Lure. He's a guy that's barely been able to be on the floor over the past 18 months. I just have a hard time believing they let him loose. And his issues were like foot issues, right? Like plantar fasciitis or ankles or something like that.
Back to back. Would I still play both Boston power forwards if I was making a single lineup on FanDuel? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think they are both objectively too cheap in excellent spots, and I think it gives me a unique lineup construction. And usually you have to sacrifice one of those things. Usually you're like, I want to get a unique lineup. I have to leave money on the table or play bad guys or do something else. No, I think I can get a pretty unique lineup.
Clarkson in.
Okay. Clarkson in.
No word on Hood. And I got my lineups in, so where'd it go? I had a good one. Barnes and Gasol or Solomon Hill and Embiid? Feels like a different Slates question.
I'll play Solomon Hill and Embiid, but that's
sure.
That's funny stuff right there.
Is that a very specific like 3-game slate or something?
Like almost any other guy in the middle there, I would take probably alongside Gasol, maybe, or at least I'd consider it. But Harrison Barnes is sort of an odd way to go here. Dennis Smith being out doesn't do that much for him. The matchup doesn't throw me that much. So Barnes an odd spot to pick, I will say.
I have a little bit of him on FanDuel. I think the price has come down a bit, but I mean, it's not like I'm taking a Harrison Barnes stand or anything.
Hard to go there over, say, Otto Porter at similar numbers.
Dave says, "Can I play 5 Celtics on FanDuel?" I don't think you can play 5 Celtics on FanDuel.
If it allows you to, I have absolutely no issue with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having one lineup or 2 lineups with 5 of them. It wouldn't be like the one I build, but there's enough value there for it. FanDuel GPP: Beal, Butler, Drew Holiday, or Zach LaVine.
Not Zach.
I think it's Butler for me now.
Yeah, it's Butler for me now. Especially if I don't have Embiid. If I don't have Embiid, it's Butler.
Yeah.
After that, it's probably Beal for me.
Embiid and Lure or Westbrook and Lure for DK Cat? Well, just ask Embiid or Westbrook.
Well, he has Lure, which is relevant for picking Embiid, sort of in that question. But I'm gonna also Embiid on DK. Just Embiid's $1,200 less than Westbrook. I don't understand the tenets of the question, but whatever. I prefer Embiid as a play. I like Russell Westbrook just fine.
Yeah. Bam and Kennard or Bagley and Satoransky, DK Cash. Got to be Bagley Satoransky, right?
Cash, yeah.
All these questions feel very like after hours slate specific, like they're for 3 gamers and not for this particular 11 gamer.
Yeah, that'll happen. We're down to a minute and change, so we're coming down
Clarkson
to it.
or Burks? FanDuel GPP.
Burks.
Yeah, agreed. Draymond, Tatum, or Harrell?
Tatum and Cash, Harrell in tournaments for me.
Yeah. If it's FanDuel, I think you can make a really good case for Draymond, but it wouldn't be a single entry.
You're going to get 1.5% ownership, and if he does his 5 steal 5 block thing, then yep.
I don't think I could justify it in a single lineup, but if I were playing like a 3 max or a 5 max, I would start to lean more to Draymond. What are your thoughts on Draymond tonight? Like him on
think
FanDuel.
An elite tournament play on FanDuel. I really like him. He will disappoint you 90% of the time, but he carries 60 fantasy point ceiling. So,
Willie Cauley-Stein or Otto Porter? There's a specific one that I haven't looked at.
Porter, Cash, Stein in tournaments. I think that's where I'd land on that most time.
Kennard and Randall or Rozier and Bagley?
Rozier and Bagley.
Same.
All right, we are locked.
Boom. 7:00. All right, go get them, because some of these exposures are going to be pretty interesting.
We had, 2 7 p.m. games?
Pacers, Wizards, Sixers, Pistons. And then
Sixers,
Celtics,
Pistons.
Pels at 7:30. We're going to have a real interesting idea of what's going on. Super.
Yeah, I want to see how low my Langston Galloway exposure is, because we also live in the world of people still, after all these years, wicked overreacting to the word starting or not starting. So the best one was last week. I think you might have been on with me when it was Amir Johnson is starting, and I'm like, all right, I'll take Kyle O'Quinn at a fifth of the ownership. And that worked out.
I mean, it's a 50-50 chance when you get that, like, you don't know if someone's starting or not starting. That starting is worse.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys for which it's like, that's what cracks me up about it, is you profit 2 ways when you have a guy who is now worse and more people are playing him. Okay.
Like Kelly Oubre to the starting lineup is generally a not positive move for Kelly Oubre.
I agree. In general, that's the case. With Wall out, I'm sure that changes the dynamic a little bit. But
like when it's Porter out or something, that's not helping him to go out there and definitely not shoot.
Yeah. So Drummond lower owned than I expected. So that makes him. I'm less anti-Drummond at that number. So if you were big on Drummond, be happy on DK. He came in lower than I expected. He's much less than Embiid. Embiid 28.5. Drummond 18.
Drummond is 19 on FanDuel. I played a lot more than that. Similarly for Embiid.
Yeah. That'll be your night. Like, I really think Drummond literally in his last 3 games against Embiid has a 50 and 2 somethings in the 20s. So I think there is a very low floor and an absolutely stupid ceiling. Like, if you've got, I don't know if Andre Drummond has ever recorded an 80 fantasy point game. There's an incredibly good chance of that tonight. If he doesn't foul out, he's going to take 20 shots as opposed to 9. Like, it does a lot for him. Reggie Jackson, 16%. Beals, 16%. Tomas Satoransky, 13%. Okay, see, that's a little lower. Langston Galloway, 11.5%. Way to go, public. Redeem my faith in you.
You know how I can't just immediately look at exposures on FanDuel?
Yeah, click around, yeah.
Yeah, one of the first guys I clicked on. I haven't even left the first page. Blake Griffin, 0.5%. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Nice job. Nice pick up there. I'm sure we have some DK 0.23. So there you go. We had some good spots over the weekend to raise exposure too. I wasn't quite there, but I almost said push more chips in, because it just feels like people are going to make a lot of mistakes tonight. So where were we? Okay, Satoransky 13, sure. Langston 11.5. Okay, Otto Porter 10.6. That feels good at 6,100. I'm liking my Otto Porter at that number. Ben Simmons 10%. I like it. John Lure 8.3. Jimmy Butler 7.3. Austin Rivers 7 flat. Then all the way down to Luke Kennard 3.3. Domantas Sabonis 2.5. I have to like Domantas Sabonis 2.5. JJ Redick 2. Corey Joseph 1.9. Miles Turner 1.9. Bojan 1.7. Again, not significantly underpriced like he is on FanDuel. Markieff 1.6. Daddy likes. Kelly Oubre 1.4. Daddy likes. He's, again, $300 more than Tomas Satoransky and just more than 1/10 of the ownership. I haven't projected for more raw points. He's $300 more. Maybe I'm wrong. Thaddy 1.4. Darren Collison 1.4. Tyreek Evans 1.3. Daddy likes. Mike Muscala 1%. Wilson Chandler 0.76. Okay. Bruce Brown 0.6. Okay. Jeff Green 0.4. TJ McConnell 0.35. Zaza 0.24. There it was. Blake 0.23, Glenn Robinson III 0.22, Thomas Bryant 0.19. I like Thomas Bryant at 1/5%. I'll go for that at his price. Aaron Holiday 0.16, Doug McDermott 0.14. Doug is never the answer. Stanley Johnson 0.1. Congratulations, you played yourself. Henry, someone else must have played themselves here too somewhere, but we will leave it there. Oh, Dwight Howard got a share. You really played yourself.
Yeah, that one's that's not justifiable.
Yeah, that's
you want to play Stanley Johnson accidentally, whatever.
Yeah, that'll happen. But Stanley Johnson would have been incredible. I wanted Stanley Johnson to be in. I would have vastly preferred playing him over, say, Langston Galloway. Like if he was in 100%, he's in a massive spot in this game. His bench usage had been huge. I wouldn't have cared whether he was starting or not. Like I would have been more excited for Stanley Johnson today than I ever thought I would have been for Stanley goddamn Johnson, who is certainly a DFS bugaboo for a long time.
Wilson Chandler 2.7. I've got a lot more than that.
Yeah, that's a fine number. He's a guy who can spike a tournament upside. But yeah, Austin Rivers 21 on FanDuel. Let me find Tomas Satoransky, who I'm sure will be much more. Langston 15. I'm impressed with that many people getting onto Langston. He's objectively a tremendous play at this point. But Beal 17, Butler 11. Oh god.
Any guesses as to how many people we had as a peak viewership in the show today?
I'll go with 1366.
You are well low, my friend. 1515.
What? Look at that. We did 1.5. I said we'd get to 2K by February. I think I said I'm standing by my projection, but it was a very sexy weekend. So I think we brought hopefully that it's something to do with grabbing some extra dudes. But nice job, you. Way to go, the host with the most.
Right back at you.
Yeah,
this is a team effort.
All praise to you. Yeah, and it's just like television. We have a really strong lead-in.
We do indeed. The best in the business, in my opinion.
Yeah. Simmons 7% on FanDuel. You got it like that.
Yeah. I do. Like it wouldn't shock me if he had like 20 fantasy points in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
just up and down a couple times, 2 quick steals, just hammering on people. Crazy.
Collison 4%, Lure 10.
You said Collison, and I pictured Nick.
Thunder and Sonics fame. He's in there. Like I know we're thinning some guys tonight. Satoransky 24. Will you never learn? Like I don't know. Maybe Satoransky is going to do it again here, but yeah. So my biggest guys input the hex on, I guess, are Satoransky and Drummond. Present company accepted. I know you are over the field on Drummond, and
I am.
Can certainly see that making you a pile of money. Like,
yeah, the 9K price point is just.
Yeah,
he can really mess up the day if that goes well for him.
If it goes well without Blake, if this game does not blow out and he doesn't get in foul trouble, I would project him for like 58.
Yeah,
or something. Just some absolutely stupid number. There's a big sample size of time he spent without Blake, and I've watched a lot of it. And you're replacing Blake, who has a lot of usage, with John Lure, who doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's pretty clear how that can.
Yeah, I feel like Drummond is a smash or has 30 fantasy points guy tonight.
Yeah,
I just don't see him like running in place for this one.
Yeah, my biggest issue with playing Embiid is I'm sort of wanting a blowout, because otherwise Embiid was a worse play than Drummond. Like it feels weird to like Embiid as much as I do.
Yeah,
because I'm spending 2,000 more than you're spending on Drummond, or 1,500 more, and you expect. Like, I think Embiid is in an amazing spot, but if this game doesn't blow out, then I probably wanted Drummond. And if Drummond doesn't do well, this game probably blows out.
It's
really hard to imagine Zaza, Calderon, Glenn Robinson III, John Lure, and, Kyrie Thomas leading them to the promised land. So.
What a night. What a night.
That's fun. That was fun.
It was fun. Let's go watch some basketball.
Sounds good, brother.
Best of luck, everybody. ThriveFantasy.com. If you go to bit.ly/Awesemo, you can try out Thrive. Pick 10 props out of a group of 20 players. Fun time.
John Isaac starting. And John Simmons starting. They're starting both Johns. John.
I played a decent amount of John Simmons.
Yeah, minimum on FanDuel made some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, once the minutes were there.
Yep. Sibble.
Alrighty, everybody. Best of luck. We will talk to you later.